Well, I've asked you to be introspective and think about the style you're going to have as a manager. And this page talks about the style that I had, at least the style as I communicated to my managers. Um, my managers probably would add or subtract some things from this, but this is what I ascribe to, aspire to. And so I would give this talk again to new members in my staff, new managers. So I started out with values and expectations. And it should be no surprise to you that on the top of the list is being a team player. I wanted my organization to work as a team. I wanted them to help each other. Too often, they felt like they were competing with each other, competing for raises, competing for bonuses and promotions. I didn't want that. I wanted everybody to be working together. The second line is kind of an interesting thing. It says, talk with each other before escalating. What happened was when I joined Lucent, I talked about us in Massachusetts, right? Well, what would happen is somebody, a technical person in our organization, would be working with a technical person in Massachusetts. Remember how I said that they had to work together in the same software? Well, they would get into disagreements all the time. Well, if you have a disagreement, what do? You complain to your boss. So the person in Massachusetts might complain to their manager in Massachusetts. What would their manager in Massachusetts do? Go to their boss. Their boss, Frank, called me. I'd say, well, I don't know about this. Let me go check. And I'd go find out. Then maybe somebody in my organization had some problems. And my manager would call me, come in, talk to me. I'd go call Frank. I'd say, Frank, what's going on? And Frank would find out. And then he and I ended up having to work out all these issues. And finally we said, stop this. Why are we working this out when the managers aren't talking? So our expectation was, and that's what this second point on here is, managers should talk and work it out before escalating to us. Right? You're a team. Figure it out. Right? But there will be a time when you need to escalate it. There will be a time to come to us. But not until you've had a chance to really work it out and see if you could compromise, see if you could collaborate. Work it out. All right, so team performance, very important. Another thing, and you probably can gather this from me, is it's important to meet commitments to each other. You say you're going to call somebody by 5 o'clock, call them. You better call them. If you say you're going to deliver some software or a product, you better deliver. Now, things happen, right? Things happen in which maybe you're not going to be able to give them what they want. So call them or let them know ahead of time. I'm not going to be able to deliver. They can do things about that. If you say, though, that you're going to talk to somebody today, then when you get to the end of the day and you haven't, and you get to the next day and you didn't, that's not right. Think about being on the receiving end of that. So meet commitments to each other, I meant inside our organization, and to others outside the group. And I meant all commitments, phone calls, emails, deliverables being software, documentation, whatever. Businesses don't like surprises. If you know you're not going to be able to get to something on time, let them know as soon as you know. And if you don't know until it's late, then you're not doing a good job of managing. You should be planning. You should know in advance and tracking things and measuring things to know whether you're on track or not. And as soon as you know there's a problem, you should let the person on the receiving end know that there's an issue. Then maybe something can get done. And you'll notice we talked about budgets. I expected people to meet their budget. Meaning, in this case, be under in terms of expenses. I was also looking for positive affectivity. I want to know, how do we do something, not why we can't. Too often people place blame and, forget that nonsense, right? Something went wrong, let's fix it. And let's fix it so it doesn't happen again. Understand what went on, fix it. I also say don't fool ourselves. If there are problems, if we have to have contingency plans, let's work it out. But let's work from the attitude that we're going to do this sucker. Right? Now, it may turn out that when we get into it, we can't, or there's issues. Let's not be Pollyanna about it. But let's go do this stuff. All right, now my style. So, not hopefully surprising relative to teamwork, my style is we're all in this together. And I firmly believe it. I only succeed when my organization succeeds. If my organization is a failure, but how can I succeed? I also tell them I will ask questions. I maybe told you that my first boss, one of the smartest guys, would always ask questions. I asked questions. And some managers are uncomfortable with that. And I tell them straight up, I'm going to ask questions. Because I want to know. I want to know. It's not micromanaging, it's micro-interest. I want to know what's going on. I want to make sure you know what's going on and have thought about things. I also have in here that I will talk to staff. What I mean is I'll talk to their people, their individual contributors. Management by walking around. I'm going to walk into their offices. Now, again, some managers really didn't like this. They were very territorial. Why are you talking to me? I guess they were worried about what I might find out. And I did find out stuff. But one thing that was very important to do was I never told people in their group what to do. If I thought something should get done, I went to the manager and told them to talk to the people to get it done. I always worked through the manager. To me also, it was very important. We were under very stressful times to respect the home and the work boundaries. Things happen at home. You got to deal with them. Kids get sick. You get sick. Whatever. I understood that. And we should accommodate that. We're a team. We're going to work this out together. I also realized that one thing I'm not good at, and this is important to know. Know what you're not good at. I wasn't good at thinking of fun things to do. I liked having fun at work. I believe work should be fun, but I wasn't always good at coming up with good ideas. So I wanted them to help me, and you'll see that if you look at the next video. I wanted help in that. Think of good things. What can we do to make this more enjoyable? It's a lot of stress, but what can we do to make this more fun? My style is I'm not a grind my teeth, get in your face kind of person. I don't pound on the table and say, you better deliver, or I don't try to coerce people. But that doesn't mean that I don't expect people to do what I say. If I say something and I tell you to do it, I expect it to get done. I'll do it in a very pleasant way. I want you to do X and, do it by Friday. Okay, smart goal, we can do it. But I expect it to get done. If you've agreed to it, get it done. The last one's kind of interesting. I'm an eater, not a diner. That kind of goes into one of the comments I made earlier. I'm a little cheap. But I enjoy doing things. The eater, not a diner comes from the fact that I was at a conference once in Washington, D.C., and the meeting that we had broke up at something like 7 o'clock at night. And the people started talking about, oh, there's this 4-star restaurant over here, and we could go to this 4-star restaurant. And I'm thinking, are you guys nuts? We're 2 blocks from the Capitol. Who wants to go grab a burger, at the hotel, and let's go walk and see the Capitol and go to the Lincoln Memorial and let's go out and do stuff. That's what I am. And I wanted them to know that. That's all part of my style. And as I said, I have weaknesses, and I alluded to this before. I want upward feedback. We'll get to more of that in the next video. I'm cheap. I told you about that one, right? But I work on it. If you think something's not right, ask me. Don't be afraid to ask me. Sometimes I was told that I let conversations go on when my mind was already made up. And I would do that. Sometimes my managers would sit and they'd argue over something, and I would just sit and listen, even though I already knew what the decision was. And I would do that simply because I wanted to hear. Maybe I was going to get more information. I'm bounded rationality. I can learn things. But maybe I did already have a solution in mind. And so, if you think I got something, ask. And sometimes I did, sometimes I didn't. If I did, maybe it stopped the conversation, or if I didn't, they'd keep going. Last one was, they said, I support my peers too much. That one I view as a strength. And I told them that. I said, from prior feedback, people think that I'm too much of a team player. And I said, that's the way it is. That's who I am. That's who we are going to be. We are going to support our peers, our other organizations. And I talked about that. And I said we would send people to Massachusetts without them even asking. They're going to need help. We're going to send them some software. We better send somebody up there to help them get it working. And they did the same thing. And it was a great environment. It became, just the best. And the other thing is, I got buried in email. And if you wanted to see me, come see me. If you needed to get a hold of me, just walk to my office and find me. Because I was just, at the time, buried in material. All right, so hopefully you can see a little bit of my style and how I manage. This should become as no surprise to you, given all the things we've talked about this semester. I'm going to have one more video that will talk a little bit about how I operated